Well, I am at a loss for words right now. After almost 7 years of doing this, I finally uploaded music for every single Humongous Entertainment game ever released on PCs. I am. I really have no words for this. I've actually made it to the end of the road, and all there is left to do is anything that I missed or any other games that I may have that could potentially be possible, but I just haven't really considered them. I don't know. Either way, it's been a crazy ride. Um, so I thought I'd just make this little video. It's gonna be sort of like a podcast, if you will, just kind of talking about my experiences with this channel and where it started and where it is today, how it got to where it is today. Um, so where do I begin with this? I started this channel when I was in 8th grade. Gosh, that seems so long ago now. It was 7 years ago. That wasn't that long ago, but it really feels like it was. I was in 7th grade, or sorry, 8th grade. Let's see. I guess I was 14 at the time. I'm 21 now. That's bizarre to think about. Um, and where this channel started, I guess the place that I really got inspiration to do this channel, um, I think it started. I don't know if any of you remember this guy. There was a user at the time, though, called Brends11, Brends 11, and he not only was one of the first ones to do uncommented Humongous game walkthroughs, he also did a little series. He did a little mini series of videos called My Favorite Humongous Entertainment Music. And in that series, he would just post one specific piece of music from the Humongous games, and it ended up being kind of a surprise hit because that was something that had never been done before. So, and of course, it got a lot of attention. I think the first entry that he did was the main menu theme for Putt Putt and Pep's Balloon-O-Rama. And as I said, it was fairly popular in the grand scheme of things. And suddenly a lot of other people started requesting, upload this piece, upload this piece. This one's really good, upload it. And it ran for a really long time. I think it went at least past 100 entries. So, but of course, it was also kind of handicapped by the fact that he was only uploading one piece of music at a time, and he was getting overloaded with requests that he just couldn't fulfill because so many people were asking him to upload things. It also just got me thinking, this is really good music. And at the time, this was kind of when I was going through my whole re-interest in Humongous Entertainment, because it's hard to remember at this point, but some people might forget that there was a point when my channel wasn't really focused on children's computer games. I guess they were focused on the Lego games, but those weren't really made for young kids. Yeah, there was a time when I wasn't really focused on that kind of thing, but this was kind of when I was going through my resurgence and interest in Humongous Entertainment, and we all know where that ended up today. But it just got me thinking, this is great music. They really put in a lot of effort into this music, even though the games were only for kids. They could have easily just done something lazy for this, and no, they really went all out with this, and they got some good music in these games from some pretty well-known, big-name composers, and I just decided, maybe it's a good idea if I start uploading music, and I wasn't just going to upload single pieces from games. I was going to do the whole shooting match, the entire musical scores. And This was, at the time, the only thing that was on my mind was the Junior Adventures, all the way up through Freddy Fish 5. And I didn't even have all the games at this point. Like, I just had, like, I think I obviously had the classics because I started doing it in chronological order. But, like, I did not have, I don't think I had Freddy Fish 5, didn't have Pajama Sam 3, I didn't have 2 either. I don't think I even had Spy Fox 1. See, I know I had Putt Putt Saves the Zoo, but like I didn't have a whole lot of the games at the time. And my general rule of thumb is I don't pirate games. Like I do not upload a video of a game unless I have a legal copy of it. That is my rule. And the same rule was going to apply for this. And this was also at the time, obviously I was in 8th grade, so I couldn't just, bulk order things from Amazon. Like, I had to ask my parents' permission first and then order it, and they hated doing that, so that further slowed my intake of games. But, yeah, at the time, I thought I was only going to do the Junior Adventures up through Freddy Fish 5. Like, that was all that was on my mind. And I did not expect it to take off the way it did. And the other thing is that at the time, I did not know you could put the music in Audacity. Like, I thought the only way you could do it was just record straight from the game. And I had experience in doing that before. I did that with Layer Racers on my main channel. And I still can't believe I was the first to upload music from that game. Um, so, I'm sorry about stuttering so much. This is going to be a very unprofessional video, I can tell. Um, yeah, I started doing Putt Putt Joins the Parade, and, it was a very arduous process, because, as I said, the only thing I could do was record straight from the game. And so, as a result, I spent a lot of time, like, trying to make sure I got every single piece of music, and there really is no way of being able to tell when you have all the background music, because obviously the music is randomly played. You can't just like, I mean, at the time I didn't know that you could actually open up a debug menu that would show you what all music is on the current playlist. So I just had to, it was a guessing game. I couldn't figure out, like, have I gotten all the themes? Have I gotten, and I made extreme use of going to the load save screen, and God, it was tedious. It was so tedious to do. But, I really did think it was worth it. And by the way, Brenz11 didn't know this either. He also recorded straight from the game. One thing that definitely helped, though, is that I played straight from the disc, and whenever a new piece of music would come up, there would be a slight pause. So I would know, okay, yeah, this is definitely a piece I haven't gotten yet. But if well, I mean, I could also, like, click out of the ScumVM window and hit record, and then, or I'm getting into ridiculous details I don't need to go into. There were some tactics I had, but in the end, it was really a roll of the dice. I didn't know if I was getting everything or not, and my old recordings aren't very good either, because they're kind of quiet and they have a lot of white noise in the background, so that's also a bit of an issue. And some of them are also kind of like cut off, like I didn't quite get the beginning of them or whatever. And the most amateur thing I did was that I didn't even use Audacity to record the audio for my computer. I just used I used Cam Studio. I used a screen capture software to get music. It's just, I was so inefficient back then, but it got the job done and I was satisfied. And of course, it was also a problem because, like, I couldn't just go fishing through the game files and seeing, like, music that I may have never heard before. It was a giant pain. Just, my old method was awful. But it garnered some early success, and, people seemed to start coming, so I then did Fatty Bear and Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and then It wasn't until I did Freddy Fish 1 and Putt Putt Saves the Zoo, though, that the channel really started taking off, though, because those were the first two that people seem to really remember the scores for. So that definitely was a big kickstart to my channel. And I should also mention that those were two of the most painful games to do, and I was still using that old method. And so I continued this train of music for a little while, and and I actually stuck to that old method for a really, really long time. Let me see. I should open up my channel and check to see where I was when I did all of this. I used that old method for a pretty heavy amount of time. And, okay, let's see. Yeah, I did it up through... I did it up through Freddy Fish and Luther's Maze Madness, which... Okay, let's see how many that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... That was 14 games that I used this old method on. And, but I guess I'll back up a little bit. I think, as it looks like it was after Pajama Sam 2. I think I hit a wall. I wasn't able to do Spy Fox 2's music for whatever reason. And I think that was also when I gave up on doing everything in chronological order as well. But then I moved on to... Then that was when I finally decided, I should do Putt Putt and Pep's Balloon-O-Rama. That had a really good musical score, and boy, I did not know what a can of worms I was opening up there. I did that game score, and then I did Maze Madness, and then finally I was like, okay, you know what, I'll do all the spin-offs too. Then I did the Junior Field Trips, and Pajama Sam's Sockworks, Water Worries, oh my gosh, and man, I went pretty far with this, and the other thing is that there was one user who told me about putting the music in Audacity, and that was when I discovered, oh my gosh, this process can just be so much easier. I wish I had known about this earlier, and through that method, that's when you stick the HE4 file in Audacity, and you select a certain section of music and then save it as a WAV file. That definitely made things a lot easier, but it was still a bit tedious to do because you have to... I mean, first of all, you still have to identify where every piece is, but then you also have to, for every single piece, you have to make sure that you got the very beginning and the very end. There's not an easy snapping feature, you just gotta go from one loud tap to the other, and it's... I mean, it was definitely a step up and a lot less time consuming than doing the old method where I would just record straight from the game, but it was still really painful to do. And, so yeah, that was definitely an annoyance. And then finally, I think it was when I got to Backyard Baseball that somebody had written a utility that could just extract the music for you into separate WAV files. So that really sliced the amount of time it took to do all the annoyances. I mean, the other major thing is that I still couldn't get pieces that were in the HE1 file. My only option there was to either ignore it entirely or try recording it from the game itself like I did my old way. And there were a few pieces that were like that, but I'll talk about individual experiences later. Yeah, so then Backyard Baseball onward, I did that method. Pajama Sam 4 and Putt Putt Pep's Birthday Surprise, when I originally started this channel, those were not on the radar. First of all, I had no idea how to even rip those games, and I think there was a way to mute the sound effects and the music, but there was no chance in heck that I was going to do that. That was just... I mean... And plus, I didn't even like those games, and frankly, I still don't. I don't think they're very good games, but later on, I figured out the archives can easily be opened with 7-zip, And there's an XML file in there that details where every single piece of music plays. So I was like, okay, well, that's convenient. Guess I'll do it instead. Yeah, so then those two were stupidly easy to do. And then that also counts for the Yaga backyard sports games, basketball 2004, football 2004, and hockey. And then the games after that were baseball 2005, and that one uses the renderware engine. And Game Extractor said it was supposed to be able to do it, or supposed to be able to extract that game's audio, or it was supposed to be able to extract the game files from it, and that turned out to be wrong. It was able to do all the games past it, but it couldn't do Backyard Baseball 2005. Like, it could do skateboarding, could do football 2006, could do hockey 2005. It couldn't do baseball 2005, though. That was the only major wall I hit with with ripping music. And so I actually asked a friend of mine to write a utility that could, because he also made a utility that could extract everything from the Scum games. So I kind of took to relying on him to do it, or to make a utility, and thankfully it ended up using a really simple, straightforward architecture. So that got that taken care of, thankfully. So yeah, and no. So that was like one of the last things I did up through football 2006, and that was the very last new thing I did. And man, I really couldn't believe it when I actually finished that and got the last piece uploaded. It was kind of like finishing a marathon, like almost 7 years worth of doing this. You know, probably over 30, maybe 40 games, and 1,400 pieces. Just, I really couldn't believe it. It was 1,400 pieces. Oh, what am I doing? um, I also wanted to talk about some of my individual experiences with this channel. Like, a lot of people underestimate what a really arduous process this is. I mean, almost nobody else that I know of was willing to put the amount of work and effort that I put into it, and I can understand that. It's not a fun process. It's really difficult. But, anybody else who tried doing it, they wouldn't even bother doing it with the level of effort that I would. Like, they would just... The most I usually saw was that people would... they would rip the music, or they would just straight up upload the entire HE4 file. Like, they wouldn't even separate anything. They wouldn't put any time codes in the description. They would just put the entire HE4 file onto one YouTube video and be like, okay, this is the soundtrack. And it got particularly lazy because, like, Pajama Sam Sockworks, almost none of the music is even in the HE4 file. Like, are you even trying? Like, if you're not going to try, why bother? And I'm kind of calling out certain people here, and I probably shouldn't. Like, the people who did that, I still love you, I promise. But, or like, some people would separate them, but then they would just be like, Putt-Putt, Theme 1, Theme 2, Theme 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's like, you're either doing this or you're not. Like, and I think a lot of people also underestimated just, like, how difficult it is to identify pieces. And a lot of people... I mean, this is not easy work, because, when you go through the HE4 file, you will come across a piece you haven't heard before. You would think that it wouldn't happen that often. It does! Because these games are usually chock full of music, and you never know what you're going to run into. And so, I would... It was, when you run into a piece that you haven't heard before, it would just be like, okay, is this piece unused, or is it something from a part of the game that I just never happened to run across, or well, is this piece unused or is it not? And the longest time, I've had a policy of not uploading unused music, and I'm still standing by it, or I don't know if I'm going to still stand by it or not. I might start uploading unused music. I don't plan on it, but I might. But yeah, that was always the worst part about it, because, like, okay, do I upload this and ask people, like, where did this play, or what do I do with this? It was a giant pain. Uh, was definitely one of the most annoying problems with, whatever. That, it ends up being a rabbit hole, and, for some games it was worse than others. See, looking at the games that I had ripped, Spy Fox 2 was a little bit difficult because a lot of the pieces sound the same, and some of the pieces are just like so quiet, or they're really hard to notice, or they're just forgettable. Like, I would ask any of you, like, there's a lot of pieces where it's like, okay, you can tell me what most of the background themes in, say, Putt Putt Joins the Parade sound like, or I could ask you, like, okay, what does the ending theme to Pajama Sam 1 sound like? And most of you could easily tell me. But then if I asked you, okay, what's the music sound like when LaRoche gets his dinner in Spy Fox 2? You probably wouldn't be able to answer. And that's what the problem was, because Spy Fox 2 is full of those, like, LaRoche planning his escape, LaRoche explaining his plan. There was a lot of music I never even noticed until I ran this channel. And, and it was just um, see, what else was there? Putt Putt Enters the Race was pretty awful to do, because, like, a lot of the music in that game, like, recycles harmonies. And there's, like, at least 3 melody-less versions of other pieces that aren't used as well, so that's also a pain. Let's see. Jam Sam 3 was definitely one of the worst ones to do, because the music has no consistency at all. I mean, like, some of them have certain recurring motifs, but others are just... And it had so much unused music that sounded like used music. What else is there? Spy Fox 3 was terrible as well. Oh, you want awful. Freddy Fish 4 and Putt Putt Joins the Circus. Those were just... In Freddy Fish 4, all the music sounds the same. And I mean, like, almost all of the background pieces use that same freaking melody or harmony, and, like, you know which one I'm talking about, the da 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 da, or the da 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 da. Like that one. Like, those two are used constantly through the whole game. And it's like, it's like, where did this piece play? Where did this one play? And then Putt Putt Joins the Circus. First off, I couldn't even tell you what half the music in that game sounds like from memory, because it is that forgettable. And the other thing is, like, the credits music, almost nobody hangs around on the credits, so I couldn't remember which pieces played where, so all I could do was, like, I had to, like, open up the game and keep turning the background music on and off during the credits just to figure out which music pieces played where. That one was dreadful, and I was surprised to find out that only one of them was unused across the whole game. Yeah, on the topic of music that only plays in the HE1 file, there was, most of the time I was able to get it ripped. Like, Pajama Sam Sockworks, it wasn't fun to rip it, but I could do it with enough effort. The one that had music that was impossible to rip, though, by just recording was Pajama Sam 1. The gold mine and the kitchen music is stored in the HE1 file. I have a habit of wanting to call it the He1 or He4 or whatever. Yeah, those two are stored in the HE1 file. And unlike most of the other music, like the reason that this is because unlike most of the other music that's stored in the HE4 file, it's not one continuous piece that you whatchamacallit, it's not one big long piece. It's actually a bunch of little short pieces that are played back to back. And I tried with the gold mine in the kitchen, but I just couldn't figure out the pattern of what the music did. And that turned out to be the right decision, I think. That I originally just didn't bother because I would have ended up with a jumbled mess. And as it turned out, I think the kitchen music consists of, what was it? I can't remember how many it was. I think it was like 7 little time. No, it was. See, it was about 18 seconds. I think it was about 8 7-second pieces. And they played they were randomly generated, so there was like no consistency on what you could get and what you couldn't. So yeah, that one I couldn't even get until I was able to crack open the HE1 file, and I didn't use it with the HEE rip that Sepper made on the cutting room floor. I had to do it with a Scum EX, and it was a giant pain. And then the Goldmine music, I think, was like 5 pieces that were played at random. So, yeah, those two sure were fun to do. Some others that you may not expect. Happy Fun Sub is stored in the HE1 file. Lost Luggage and Let's Explore the Airport is stored in the HE1 file. Are there any others? Oh yeah, most of the entire in-game music from Moonbase Commander is stored in the HE1 file. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much all the ones that are stored into your regular files. And the reason I wasn't able to get the HE1 files opened at first is because the HE1 files do include like all the sound effects and stuff, but they also included the graphics and all the scripts and everything. So if you tried feeding that into Audacity, needless to say, you'd get nothing but static. So, because it would just completely confuse the whole program. The HE4 file is basically just an archive of regular wave files, so it doesn't really confuse Audacity a whole lot, thankfully. And so yeah, that's mostly my experience with it. You know, it was also fun coming up with names for a lot of the pieces, especially like for ones that are confined to cutscenes. Usually I just stuck a quote in or whatever, but and it was also fun because I didn't really do this as sort of a brainless thing, like say another account like Silva Gunner, or not the one who would upload like the silly altered music, but like the other people who just kind of upload game music mindlessly. I was kind of able to do this on a more personal level, and I could put in my own comments on some of the pieces, so that was always pretty fun. And I was able to like interact with people and share experiences like with one specific part of the game. It was always really fun to do that, and it's definitely been a heck of a ride, and I've really enjoyed sharing this music with the world. And it's really driven by a passion to just preserve things. Like, I'm all about preservation. I love keeping things alive for people to reminisce about or look back to. And years down the road, some of it may become meaningless. I don't know if YouTube will exist 100 years from now, but If it does, I'll definitely be glad about what all I did, because it's been honestly this has been one of my favorite projects. When I started this channel, I could have never guessed that it would blossom into what it became. As I said before, it wasn't, when I started, I wasn't thinking of doing all the junior arcades or big thinkers or the one-stop fun shops or Moonbase Commander, Pajama Sam 4, or Putt Putt Pep's birthday. Heck, I didn't even think I was ever going to do the backyard sports. I really, truly did not think I was going to do the backyard sports. And needless to say, you can see where that went. But overall, it's been one of my favorite experiences. And although it definitely won't compete with my experience over on Mr. 831, Humongous Fan Soundtracks has been a side project that has blossomed into something just beyond what I could have even expected. And, I've had a lot of the former Humongous employees comment and tell me, they've told me, that they love what I've done on YouTube and stuff. And, I've just been thrilled to really be able to share this experience, and it's really just unlike anything else I can describe, and I'm really glad that it's turned into what it has. And, as for the future of this channel, I'm not entirely sure what'll happen yet, but I've definitely got a lot of things on my mind. One thing is that I feel like I should do the music for the DOS versions of the classics. And unfortunately, that would mean I'd have to go back to my old method of recording straight from the game, but, when you have a passion for this, maybe it's worth it. um, I've had a long-standing policy about not uploading music that's recycled, and I think I might retract that policy, because all it really does is confuse everybody. Because, for those who may be familiar with one game and not the other, all it does is make them scratch their head. The only exceptions I've made to this rule are Putt-Putt's Fun Pack, Fatty Bear's Fun Pack, and the Activity Pack, because those games have nothing but reused background music, so nothing lost there. And besides that, I could honestly count the number of people who probably played those games, but not the games they recycle music from, on one hand. I've thought about doing the Game Boy Advance backyard sport games. I'm not entirely sure if I really want to do that or not. The console exclusive games, I think, completely recycle music from the PC games. Like Backyard Basketball on the PS2, I think, has the same menu theme as Basketball 2004. Football on the GameCube recycles music entirely from Football 2002. The Blues Clues games, I might do those, I might not. I don't know. First off, I've only got 2 of them. I think ABC Time and 1-2-3 Time. I have Blues Birthday, but the second disc is scratched. So until I can find a replacement copy, I'll need to figure that one out. But yeah, overall, it's been a great experience, and I'm so thrilled to just have been able to share all this music with everybody, and I'm really thankful for what this project has become. But the one person, or the one group of people that I have to thank, is anybody who has ever supported me. Even if you have just viewed a video or hit the like button on any of them, or you've written a comment, or shared your experiences, or shared my videos, and again, even if all you've done is consistently view videos or give any thumbs up, I thank you. You mean the most to me. Even having just one person who enjoys watching these videos is something that is indescribable, and y'all are wonderful, folks. And the success of this channel could not have happened without any of you. And I know it's cliche, but it is true. So, once again, thank you, all of you. Y'all are great, and I don't know what the future of this channel holds. Certainly not more walkthroughs, that's for sure. Oh, that was an awkward era in this channel's lifetime. I hated having to do that. I really did, but it was my only workaround. Yeah, I'm sure there's like a lot of people who still have only subscribed to me because I was that guy who did that hour-long video of Lego Island years ago. And I don't upload videos like that anymore, but you still subscribe to me anyway, hoping in vain that that's what you're going to see from me. Like, no, go to Mr. 831, that's not me anymore. But yeah, enough ranting. Thank you, all of you. And for now, goodbye, everybody.